Hello friends, today I'm going to explain a 2004 South Korean romantic drama called 3 Iron. A lonely motorcyclist, Dae-suk, puts up advertising brochures on the doors of houses, covering the keyholes with them. One day he blocks the exit of one of the house's garages. When he hears the signal, he pulls the vehicle away, but the owner of the car doesn't hurry. He examines the guy with a look of superiority, and finally drives off. Dae-suk heads to another part of town. Finding his ad intact, he picks the door lock and goes inside. The first thing he does is listen to the answering machine. When he hears that the family is on a trip, he boldly goes deep into the apartment. After looking around, the guy goes to the shower room and tidies himself up. He also borrows clothes and food from his hosts. Finding a broken trauma gun on the table, Dae fixes it and tests it on the balls. Afterward, he takes his own pictures front of the backdrop of portraits of the owners of the house. He spends the night in front of the TV, and in the morning he does some hand washing of dirty laundry. As he is looking at the family album, he hears the sound of a car pulling up and looks out and sees the owners of the apartment. Once inside, the woman immediately starts sorting things out. The husband does not understand what she is displeased about, because she asked for this trip. At this point, the child discovers a gun and points it at his father, but the father brushes him off, so the boy takes his mother at gunpoint. She jokingly asks to shoot her, and the child pulls the trigger of the repaired gun. But Dae no longer hears the woman scream. He escapes safely from the apartment. The guy enters a house with his advertisement still hanging on the door. As he looks around, he doesn't notice a young woman crouching in the corner of the room. At that moment the phone rings and a man's voice threatens to come over if son doesn't answer. Dae again fails to notice the woman with the marks of beatings on her face, looking at him through the crack of the door. But he takes a picture of himself in front of her portrait. He cooks meals and collects dirty laundry and shoes. He washes and hangs up the clean ones and sprays the houseplants. Dae sees a golf club and goes to the garden, where a special tent is set up to play alone. The hostess silently follows him. A guy takes a bath and stands on the scale and notices it malfunctioning. He arms himself with a screwdriver and fixes the device, not noticing that the woman gets up on them after him. As night falls, Dae is tucked away in the master bedroom. Suddenly the door slides open and he sees a woman looking at him in silence. At that moment the phone rings again and a man's voice orders son to pick up the phone. And she obeys and listens silently to her husband's words, while Dae gathers her things. Almost on the threshold, he suddenly hears her scream and turns around. They look at each other in silence. Then he drives away. But after driving away a little, the guy stops, thinks about something for a long time and decisively turns the motorcycle around. Back in the house, he hears son crying in the bathroom. He removes her clothes and, opening the closet, picks out a dress, then turns on some romantic music. After coming out of the bathroom, son discovers the dress, and puts it on. The woman sits down on the couch and a golf ball flies to her feet. She throws it into the hallway, but it comes back again. At that moment, her husband drives up to the house and sees the motorcycle of yesterday's sassy man. He literally pounces on his wife. Why didn't she answer her phone? Why is she wearing that awful dress? Son is silent. Dae-suk looks at everything through the window. The man suddenly begins to apologize and rushes to hug his wife. She is the one who makes him act that way. He tries to achieve intimacy and hits his wife, who does not respond to his caresses. At this point, he hears the sound of kicking balls and runs into the courtyard. Dae-suk changes the trajectory of the balls and literally shoots the man. He falls down, but still tries to call the police. Dae picks up the last ball, stumbling into son's gaze. And she, just as silently goes after him and gets on his motorcycle. In the morning they hang advertisements on the door of the apartment building together. Dae drills the ball and puts it on a wire to play alone. Later, they return to the house and find an apartment with an untouched advertisement. From the answering machine message, they learn that the owner has left for a photo shoot. Dae-suk fixes a broken clock. In the morning, Dae discovers a strange collage of photographs, and then sees son washing the owner's things. He cooks a meal and watches the hostess son. They take pictures together against the backdrop of the apartment and go away, leaving everything in perfect order. Later they put ads on the doors again. We have to wait until evening and the couple head to the park, where Dae begins her golf game. They enter an apartment whose owners are celebrating a wedding anniversary in Hawaii. The landlord is a boxer, and Dae does lunges in front of his picture. Then he repairs the music center. Son holds out a pair of scissors to him, and Dae cuts her hair. Afterwards, they take selfies together in front of the owner's picture. The woman pulls out the liquor and they drink it in silence, sitting around the table. Son begins to cry, and Dae hugs her. He tucks her into bed, but she holds the man back. At this point the owners enter the apartment. Boxer rushes to hit Dae, but his wife pulls the man away. After realizing that nothing is missing from the apartment, they let the couple go. Son buys noodles and feeds the battered Dae. And he ties his ball to the post and takes up the game again. Son gets in the way, but Dae moves and still hits the ball. The ball comes off the loop and flies onto the road. At the same moment they hear the screeching of brakes and the shocked couple sees the car the ball has hit. The driver calls out to his companion, but she, covered in blood, does not answer. Day, realizing his crime, cries by the side of the road. Son hugs him and comforts him. They put up their ads, and come to an empty house at night. It becomes clear that a happy couple lives there. Seated on their couch, Son and Tae drink tea and kiss for the first time. The next day they go around the apartment building and break into one apartment. After opening the door, Dae tries to leave, but Son brings the boy back. Inside lies the body of an elderly man. Tae calls the number written down and learns that the caller has left and will be there in 3 days. Then they perform the proper rites and prepare the man for burial. Son is mopping the floors in the room. A bell rings and a man's voice calls for his father. But Dae hangs up silently. The next day, they are getting down to dinner when a married couple enters the apartment looking for the father. The man calls the police. The couple is brought to the station. The detective accuses them of killing the old man. And then, after seeing numerous photos, he realizes that they have been in other houses as well. The officer beats up Dae-suk. Then he tells the old man's son that he was buried near the house. The police go there and dig up the body, but it is buried according to all the rules. The police sergeant is perplexed. It doesn't look like a murder. A policeman finds Sunhwa's information among the missing persons reports and calls her husband. Dae is charged with trespassing, murder, and kidnapping a woman. But the sergeant reports that there's no report on the guy. He called the houses in the pictures, nothing missing anywhere. The husband picks up Son. The sergeant reports the results of the autopsy. The old man died himself of cancer. He buried him as a loving son would. The officer tries to insult Dae, but he only smiles. The husband is pleased with Son's return. He promises to be a good husband, but the girl turns away. Then the man calls a policeman. Upon meeting him, he gives him an envelope with money and gets tied up Dae. Taking a golf club, he starts beating him with balls. The officer picks the guy up and taunts him, and he lunges at the man. The sergeant literally snatches him out of Dae's arms. The guy is sent to solitary confinement. After looking around, he starts training. The husband tries in vain to win Son's favor. The warden looks into the cell, but doesn't see Tae. Then he goes inside and finds the boy against the wall. The guard is angry. If he tries again, he will be left without food. Dae looks around the wall and climbs up it. The husband tries to induce Son into intimacy, but fails to reciprocate by slapping her in the face again. This is the first time he has ever slapped her in the face. The warden doesn't see Dae again and enters the cell. He is nowhere to be found. The man looks around the room and finds the boy, under the ceiling. He is hanging, hooked to a ventilation grate. The angry guard throws him down. Having beaten the prisoner, he promises to kill him if this trick is repeated. But Dae only smiles and does bird-like flying exercises, and Son breaks the scales that have been repaired. Then she puts on a beautiful dress and goes to the house where they have been. This time the owner of the house is cleaning the fish pool. Son silently walks over to the sofa, lies down on it and falls asleep. The man just smiles. His wife arrives. At her bewilderment, her husband stops her. Let her sleep. Son, who wakes up, bows to thank them and leaves. The warden does not see Dae in the cell again. And this time he is nowhere to be found. The man walks around the cell without noticing how Dae's son moves in sync with him, stepping one step at a time. A shadow gives him away. The policeman realizes, the man's eye can see within 180 degrees, Dae's son is hiding within another 180 degrees, and beats the guy again. He needs to practice more and watch his shadow. Dae trains further. He does exercises with an eye drawn on the palm of his hand, imitating a human gaze, and he learns to be invisible. Ta is brought food, but he is not in his cell again. And this time the warden is beaten. The reinforced patrol takes Dae out of the cell. Son does her laundry in the bathtub. The husband is perplexed. They have a washing machine. A police officer arrives home, but in a completely empty garage. Golf balls suddenly fly at him and beat him half to death. Son's husband is informed that Dae has been released. Boxer's apartment. His wife makes him a jealous scene. Suddenly the man becomes alarmed. There is someone in the house. They look around, but find no one. Suddenly the wife sees the taped eyes on the poster. Someone was definitely here. The house where Son recently slept. The landlady senses someone's presence, but no one is there. The husband returns and sees a rearranged cushion on the couch. The woman is surprised. She has cleaned everything today. A photographer's apartment. He, too, senses someone's presence. But when he looks around, he doesn't see anyone. His girlfriend is frightened. Why has he hung an empty frame? Son's house. Her husband wakes up and comes out of the bedroom. But there is no one in the living room. He returns and Son sees a shadow on the glass. She goes into the living room and sees a smiling Dae in the mirror. Her husband does not understand what she is doing here. Suddenly he hears a declaration of love. He hugs his wife joyfully and she holds out her hand to Dae. He kisses the woman while she is in her husband's arms. In the morning Son prepares breakfast. While her husband is eating, Day's hand appears from behind him and takes the tidbits the woman lays out for him. Her husband senses someone's presence, but sees no one. He leaves, and Sun turns on his favorite track and looks for Day. They meet at the wall. A man and a woman stand on a scale that shows 0 results. It's hard to tell if it's reality or a dream, the world we live in. Guys, thank you for watching. Write in the comments below what do you think about this movie, and please don't forget to support us by leaving likes and subscribing.